left this place.
I can't keep up. You walk at such a pace.
Don't trouble, child. No need to show me out. It's not your manners I'm concerned about.
We merely pay you the respect we owe, but mother, why this hurry? Must you go?
I must. This house appalls me. No one in it will pay attention to me for a single minute. Children, I leave much vexed in spirit. I offer good advice, but you won't hear it. You will break in and chatter on and on. It's like a madhouse with the keeper gone.
If you would
girl, talk too much, and I'm afraid you're far too fussy for a lady's maid. You push in everywhere and have your say.
But
you, boy, grow more foolish every day. To think my grandson is such a duck. If I told you 100 times, I told you once, that if you keep this course on which you started to leave your worthy father broken-hearted, and you, his sister, so pure, so shy, so innocent, and so demure. But you know what they say about still waters. I pity parents with secretive daughters.
Now, mother!
And as for you, child, might I add that your behavior is extremely bad, and a poor example for these children, too. Their dear, dead mother did far better than you. You're much too free with money, and I'm distressed to see you so elaborately dressed, when with one husband that one aims to please. One has no need for costly fripperies.
oh, madam, really?
And you, her brother, and I respect and love you, yet if I were my son, this lady's good and pious spouse, why, I wouldn't make you welcome in my house.
Oh.
You're full of worldly counsels, which I fear are unsuitable for decent folk to hear. I've spoken bluntly, sir, but it behooves us not to mince words when righteous fervor moves us.
Your man Tartuffe is full of holy speeches.
And practices precisely what he preaches. He is a fine man and should be listened to. I will not have him mocked by fools like you.
Oh, good God! Do you really expect us to submit to the tyrannies of that carpet hypocrite? Are we to forego all joys and satisfactions because that bigot censures all our activities?
to hear him talk, and he talks all the time. There's nothing one can do that isn't a crime. He rails at everything, your dear Tartuffe.
Everything he reproves deserves reproof. He is out to save your souls, and all of you must love him as my son would have you do.
Oh, no, grandmother, I can never take to such a rascal, even for my father's sake. It's how I feel, and I shall not dissemble. His every action makes me seethe and tremble with helpless anger, and I have no doubt that he and I will shortly have it out.
Surely it is a shame and disgrace to see this man usurp the master's place, to see this beggar who, when he first came, had not a shoe or shoestring to his name. So far he forgets himself, he behaves as if this house were his and we his slaves.
Well, mark my words, your souls would fare far better if you obeyed his precepts to the letter.
You see him as a saint. I'm far less odd. In fact, I see right through him. He's a fraud. His man Laurent's the same, or worse. I'd not trust either with a penny purse.
Well, I can't say what his servant's morals may be, but his own great goodness I can guarantee. You all regard him with distaste and fear, because he tells you what you loathe to hear, condemns your sins and points out your moral flaws, and humbly strives to further heaven's cause.
If sin is all that bothers him, why isn't he so upset when folk drop in to visit? Is heaven so outraged by a social call that he must prophesy against us all? I'll tell you what I think. If you ask me, he's jealous of my mistress's company.
Rubbish! He is not alone, child, in complaining of all your promiscuous entertaining wife. The whole town is set. I know by all the carriages that come and go, and all the crowds of guests parading in and out, and all the noisy servants lording about. Oh, and all this, I'm sure there is nothing vicious, but why give people cause to be suspicious?
Why, they need no cause. They'll talk in any case. Madam, this world would be a joyless place if, fearing what malicious tongues might say, we locked our doors and turned our friends away. And even if one did so dreary a thing, do you think it'll cease those tongues from their chattering? One can't fight slander. It's a losing battle. Let us instead ignore their tattle. Let's strive to live by conscience's clear decrees and let the gossips gossip as they please.
If there is talk against us, I know the source. It's Daphne and her little husband, of course. Those with greatest cause for guilt and shame are quickest to besmirch a neighbor's name. When there's a chance for libel, they never miss it. When something can be made to seem illicit, they're off at once spreading the joyous news, adding to fact what fantasies they choose. By talking up their neighbors' indiscretions, they seek to camouflage their own transgressions, hoping that others' innocent affairs will lend a hue of innocence to theirs. Or that their own black guilt will come to seem part of a general shady color scheme.
All that is quite irrelevant. I doubt anyone's more virtuous and devout than dear old Franz. And I'm informed that she condemns your mode of life most vehemently.
Oh yes, she's strict,
Yes.
devout, and has no taint of worldliness.
Correct again.
In short, she seems a saint, but time has taught her that disguise. She's thus because she can't be otherwise. So long as her attractions could enthrall, oh, she flounced and flirted and enjoyed it all. But now that they are no longer what they were, she quits a world which is fast quitting her, and wears a veil of virtue to conceal her bankrupt beauty and lost appeal. That's what becomes of old coquettes today, distressed when all their lovers fall away. They see no recourse but to play the prude, and so confer a style of solitude. Thereafter, they're severe with everyone, condemning all our actions, pardoning none. Claiming to be pure, austere, and zealous, when if the truth were known, they're merely jealous. And cannot bear to see another know the pleasures time has forced them to forego.
That sort of talk is what you like to hear. Therefore, you have felt it still, my dear, while the madame rattles on the live long day. Nevertheless, I mean to have my say. I tell you, you are blessed to have Tartuffe as my son's guest beneath this roof, that heaven has sent him to forestall its wrath by leading you once more to the true path. That all he reprehends its reprehensible, that you should heed him and be sensible. All these visits and parties and balls in which you revel are nothing but the inventions of the devil. One never hears a word that's edifying, nothing but chaff and foolishness and lying and bishop gossip in which one's neighbor is cut to bits with every foot and saber. People of sense are driven half insane at such affairs where noise and folly reign and reputations perish thick and fast. And as a wise preacher once said on Sunday last, that parties are towers of Babylon, because the guests, all Babylon, never apart. Then he told a story which I heard the laughter, I saw that wink. Go, find your silly friends and laugh them all. Enough! I'm leaving. Well, no need to show me to the door. I leave this household much dismayed and vexed. I can't say when I shall see you next. Wake up! Don't just stand there gaping into space. I'll slap some sense in that stupid face. Move! Move! Slut!
I think stay behind. I want no further pieces of her mind. How that woman...
Oh, what she wouldn't say to hear you speak of her that way. She'd thank you for the lady, but I think she'd find the old a little premature.
My, what a scene she made, and what a din. And how this man Tartuffe has taken her in.
Yes, but her son is even worse deceived. His folly must be seen to be believed. In the late troubles, he played an able part, and served his king with a wise and noble heart. But now he's quite lost his senses, since he fell beneath Tartuffe's infatuating spell. Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison. He calls him brother, loves him with his life, referring him to mother, child, or wife. In him and him alone will he confide. He's made him his confessor and his guide. He pets and pampers him with love more tender than any mistress could engender. Gives them the seat of honor when they dine. Delights to see him gorging like a swine. Stuffs his dainties till his guts distend. And when he belches, cries, God bless you, friend. Sure, he's mad. He worships him. He dotes. His deeds he marvels at. His words he quotes, thinking each act a miracle. Thinking each word more oracular than those that Moses heard. And Tartuffe, so pleased to find so easy a victim, has in 100 ways beguiled and tricked him, milked him of his money, and with his permission, established here a sort of inquisition. Even Laurent, his lackey, dares to give us advice on how to live. Thunderizes us in sermoning tones, confiscates our ribbons and colognes. Last week, he tore a kerchief into pieces because he found it pressed in a life of Jesus. He said it was a sin to juxtapose unholy vanity and holy prose.
You did well not to follow. She stood at the door and said verbatim all she'd said before. I saw my husband coming. I think I'd best go upstairs and take a little rest.
I'll wait and greet him here. Then I must go. I've really only time to say hello.
Uncle, sound my father about my sister's wedding, please. I fear that Tartuffe's against it, and he's convinced father to withdraw his blessing. And I find that most distressing, because if my sister and Valere cannot marry, then my own hopes to marry his sister will miscarry. And I'm determined to...
He's coming!
Ah, brother! Good day!
Well, welcome back. I'm sorry I can't stay. How's the country? Blooming, I trust, and green?
Brother, just a moment. Doreen, to put my mind at rest, I always learn the household news the moment I return. Has all been well these 2 days I've been gone? How's the family? What's been going on?
Your wife, 2 days ago, had a bad fever and a fierce headache which refused to leave her.
And Tartuffe?
Why, he's round and red, bursting with health and excellently fed.
Poor fellow.
That night, the mistress not had a single bite at the dinner table. Her headache pains, she said, were simply hellish.
And Tartuffe?
He ate his meal with relish and zealously devoured in her presence a leg of mutton and a brace of pheasants.
Poor fellow.
That night, the pains continued strong, and she tossed and tossed the whole night long, now icy cold, now burning like a flame. We sat beside her bed till morning came.
And Tartuffe?
Why, having eaten, he rose and sought his room already in a doze, and got into his warm bed and snored away in peace till the break of day.
Poor fellow.
After much ado, we talked her dispatching someone for the doctor. He bled her, and the fever quickly fell.
And Tartuffe?
Why, he bore it very well. And to keep his cheerfulness at any cost, and make up for the blood Madame had lost, he drank at lunch 4 beakers full of port.
Poor fellow.
Both are doing well, in short. I'll go and tell Madame that you've expressed keen sympathy and anxious interest.
That girl was laughing in your face. And though I've no wish to offend you, even so I'm bound to say she had some excuse. How can you possibly be such a goose? Are you so dazed by this man's hocus pocus that all the world, save him, is out of focus? You've given him shelter, clothing, food, and care. Why must you also—
Brother, stop right there. You do not know the man of whom you speak.
I grant you that. But my judgment's not so weak that I can't tell by his effect on others.
Oh, when you meet, you two will be like brothers. There's been no loftier soul since time began. He is an excellent man. To take his precepts is to be reborn and view this dunghill of a world with scorn. Yes, thanks to him, I'm a changed man indeed. Under his tutelage, my soul's been freed from earthly loves and every human tie. My mother, brother, children, and wife could die, and I'd not feel a single moment's pain.
That's a fine sentiment, brother, most humane.
Oh. Had you seen Tartuffe as I first knew him, your heart, like mine, would have surrendered to him. He used to come into our church every day and humbly kneel nearby and start to pray. He'd draw the eyes of everybody there by the deep fervor of his heartfelt prayers. He'd sigh, oh, and weep, oh, and sometimes with a sound of rapture, bend and kiss the ground. And when I rose to go, he'd run before to offer me holy water at the door. His serving man, no less devout than he, informed me of his master's poverty. I gave him gifts, but in his humbleness, he begged me every time give him less. Oh, that's too much, he'd cry, too much by twice. I don't deserve it, sir, the half would suffice. And when I wouldn't give it back, he'd share the half of it with the poor, right then and there. At length, heaven prompted me to take him in, to dwell with us and free our souls from sin. He guides our lives, and to protect my honor, stays by my wife and keeps an eye upon her. He tells me whom she sees and all she does and seems more jealous than I ever was. And how austere he is. Why, he can detect a mortal sin where you would least suspect. In smallest trifles, he's extremely strict. Last week, his conscience was severely pricked when, while praying, he had caught a flea and killed it, so he felt, too pridefully.
Good God, man! Have you lost all common sense? Or is this some joke at my expense? How can you stand there and in all sobriety tell—
Brother, your language savors of impiety. Too much free thinking's got your faith unsteady, and as I've warned you many times already, 'twill get you into trouble before you're through.
So I've been told before by dupes like you.
Dupes?
Being blind, you'd have others blind as well. The clear-eyed man you call an infidel, and he who sees through humbug and pretense is charged by you with want of reverence. Spare me your warnings, brother. I have no fear speaking out for you and heavenly here against affected zeal and pious knavery. There's true and false in piety, as in bravery, and just as those whose courage shines the most in battle are the least inclined to boast, so those whose hearts are truly pure and lowly don't make a flashy show of being holy. There's a vast difference, so it seems to me, between true piety and hypocrisy. How do you fail to see it, may I ask? Is not a face quite different from a mask? Cannot sincerity and cunning art, reality and semblance be told apart? Are all men just like scarecrows? And do you hold that a false coin is just as good as gold? Ah, brother, man's a strangely fashioned creature who seldom is content to follow nature, but recklessly pursues his own inclinations beyond the narrow bounds of moderation, and often, by transgressing reason's laws, perverts a lofty aim or noble cause. A passing observation, but it applies.
I see, dear brother. You're profoundly wise. You harbor all the information of the day. Your one true mind, our only sage. The air is oracle and it's Cato too, and all mankind are fools compared to you.
Brother, I don't pretend to be a sage, nor have I all the wisdom of the age. There's just one insight I would dare to claim. I know that true and false are not the same. And just as there's nothing I more revere than a soul whose faith is steadfast and sincere, nothing I more cherish and admire than honest zeal and true religious fire. So there's nothing I find more base than specious piety's dishonest face, than these bold mountebanks, these histrios whose impious mummeries and hollow shows exploit of our love of heaven, and make a jest of all that men think holiest and best. These calculating souls who offer their prayers not to their maker, but as public wares and seek to buy respect and reputation with lifted eyes and sighs of exaltation. These charlatans, I say, whose pilgrim souls proceed by way of heaven towards earthly goals, who weep and pray and swindle and extort, who preach the monkish life but haunt the court, who make their zeal their partner of their vice. Such men are vengeful, sly, and cold as ice. And when there's an enemy to defame, they cloak their spite in fair religion's name, their private spleen and malice being made to seem a high and virtuous crusade, until, to mankind's reverent applause, they crucify their foe in heaven's cause. Such knaves are all too common, yet, for the wise, true piety isn't hard to recognize. And happily, these present times provide us with bright examples to instruct and guide us. Consider Aristotle and Perion. Look at Iran, Alcibiades, and Platon. Their virtue is acknowledged. Who could doubt it?
Not me.
But you won't hear them beat the drum about it. They're never ostentatious, never vain, and their religion is moderate and humane.
Hallelujah.
It's not their way to criticize and chide. They think censoriousness a mark of pride, and therefore, by letting others preach and rave, they show by deeds how Christians should behave. The sinner wakes no rancorous hate in them. It is a sin alone which they condemn. They don't intrigue and wangle and conspire. To live a good life is their one desire. They think no evil of their fellow man, but judge of them as kindly as they can. Nor do they try to show a fiercer zeal for heaven's cause than heaven itself could feel. These men I honor. These men I advocate as models for us all to emulate. Your man is not their sort at all, I fear. And while your praise of him may be quite sincere, I think that you've been dreadfully deluded.
Well then, dear brother, is your speech concluded?
Well, yes.
Your servant, sir.
Brother, wait. There's one more matter. You agreed of late that young Valère might have your daughter's hand.
I did.
And set the date, I understand.
Quite so.
You've now postponed it, is that true?
Who knows?
The match no longer pleases you?
I wouldn't say that.
Do you need to go back on your word?
Perhaps.
Has anything occurred which might entitle you to break your pledge?
It's been a pleasure.
Why must you hem-haw and hedge? The boy asked me to sound you in this affair.
See you later, brother.
But what shall I tell Valère?
Whatever you like.
What have you decided? What are your plans?
I plan, sir, to be guided by heaven's will.
Come, brother, don't talk rot. You've given Valère your word. Will you keep it or not?
Indeed.
The looks like poor Valaire's undoing. I'll go warn him that there's trouble brewing.
Wingardium Leviosa, Kyrie eleison, Amen. Ah, Marianne.
Yes, Father?
A word with you. Come here. Eavesdroppers. I'm making sure we shan't be overheard. Someone in there could hear our every word. But good. We're safe. Now, Marianne, my child, you're a sweet girl who's tractable and mild, whom I hold dear and think most highly of.
I am deeply grateful, Father, for your love.
That's well said. And you can repay me if in all things you'll cheerfully obey me.
To please you, sir, is what delights me best.
Good, good. What do you think of Tartuffe, our guest?
I, sir?
Yes, weigh your answer, think it through.
Oh, dear. I'll say whatever you wish me to.
That's wisely said. Say of him, then, that he is the very worthiest of men, that you are fond of him, and would rejoice in being his wife if that should be my choice. Well?
What?
What's that? Did you not hear what I said?
Forgive me, pray. Of whom, sir, must I say that I am fond of him and would rejoice in being his wife if that would be your choice?
Why, of Tartuffe.
Father, that's false, you know. Why would you have me say what isn't so?
Because I am resolved that it should be true. That it is my wish to be enough for you.
You can't mean, Father?
Yes. Tartuffe is to be allied to this family through marriage, and he is to be your husband. Is that clear? It's a father's privilege to... What are you doing here? Is curiosity so fierce a passion in you that you must eavesdrop in this fashion?
There's lately been a rumor going about, based on some hunch or chance remark, no doubt, that you mean Marianne to wed Tartuffe. I've laughed it off, of course, it's just a spoon.
You find it so incredible?
Oh, yes, I do. I won't believe that story even from you.
I've never been more serious in my life. Daughter, I mean, it will be his wife.
No, don't believe your father. It's all just a hoax.
See here, young woman.
Come, sir, no more jokes. You can't fool us.
How dare you talk that way?
All right, then. We believe you. Sad to say.
Yes.
But how a man like you, who looks so wise and wears a wig of such splendid size, can be so foolish as to—
Silence, please. My girl, you take too many liberties. I am master here, as you must not forget.
Do let's discuss this calmly. Don't be upset. You can't be serious, sir, about this plan. What should that bigot want with Marianne? Praying and fasting ought to keep him busy. And in terms of wealth and rank, what is he? Why should a man of property like you pick out a beggar's son-in-law?
That will do. Speak of his poverty with reverence. His is a pure and saintly indigence, which far transcends all worldly pride and pelf. He lost his fortune, as he says himself, because he cared for heaven alone, and so was careless with his interests here below. I mean to get him out of his present straits, and to return him to his estates, which in his part of the world have no small fame. Poor though he is, he's a gentleman all the same.
Yes, so he tells us. But, sir, it seems to me such pride goes very ill with piety. A man who spurns this dungy earth ought to brag of lands and noble birth, and such a worldly arrogant will hardly square with meek devotion and a life of prayer. But this approach I see has drawn a blank. Let's speak then of his person, not his rank. Doesn't it seem to you a trifle grim to give a girl like her to a man like him? When two are so ill-suited, can't you see what sad consequences bound to be? A young girl's virtue is imperiled, sir, when such a marriage is imposed on her. For if one's bridegroom is not to one's taste, it's hardly an inducement to be chaste. And many a man with horns upon his brow has made his wife the thing that she is now. It's hard to be a faithful wife, in short, to certain husbands of a certain sort. And he who gives his daughter to a man she hates must answer for her sins at heaven's gates. Think, sir, before you play so risky a role.
This servant girl presumes to save my soul.
Oh, you do well to ponder what I've said.
Daughter, we'll disregard this dunderhead. Just trust your father's judgment. Oh, I'm aware that I once promised you to young Valere, but now I hear he gambles, which greatly shocks me. What's more, I have concerns about his orthodoxy. His visits to church, I know, are rather few.
Would you have him go at the same hours as you, and have him kneel nearby to be sure to be seen?
I can dispense with such remarks, Doreen. Tartuffe, however, is sure of heaven's blessing, and that's the only treasure worth possessing. This match will bring you joys beyond all measure. Your cup will overflow with every pleasure. You two will interchange your loves like two sweet cherubs or two turtle doves. Groo, 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 groo. No harsh word shall be heard, no frown be seen, and he shall make you happy as a queen.
Oh, she'll make him a cuckold, just wait and see.
What language!
He's a man of destiny, he's made for horns, and what the stars demand, your daughter's virtue surely can withstand.
That's enough! Why can't you learn that certain things are none of your concern?
It's for your sake that I interfere.
Oh, most kindly of you. Now hold your tongue, do you hear? Good.
If I didn't love you, sir...
Spare me your affection.
Oh, I'll love you, sir, in spite of your objection. I can't bear, for honor's sake, to see you make this ludicrous mistake.
Do you mean to go on talking?
If I didn't protest this sinful marriage, my conscience couldn't rest.
If you don't hold your tongue, you little shrew!
What? Lost your temper? A pious man like you.
Yes! You talk and talk! I'm maddened by it! I tell you, once and for all, be quiet!
Well, I'll be quiet, but I'll be thinking hard.
Think all you like, but you had better guard that saucy tongue of yours, or I'll... Daughter, I have weighed the matter fully.
Drives me wild that I can't speak.
Tartuffe is no young daddy, but still his person is...
As sweet as candy.
Is such that even if you shouldn't care for his other merits...
Oh, if I were she, no man would marry me against my inclination and go scot-free. Oh, he'd learn before the wedding day was over how readily a wife can find a lover.
It seems you treat my orders as a joke.
Why? What's the matter? It was not to you I spoke.
What were you doing?
Talking to myself, that's all.
Oh! One more bit of impudence and gall, and I shall give her a good slap on the face. Ha! You shall accept, and with good grace, the husband I have selected for you. Your wedding day. Why don't you talk to yourself?
I have nothing to say.
Come, just one word.
No, thank you, sir. I pass.
Come, speak! I'm waiting.
I'd not be such an ass.
Daughter, in short, I mean to be obeyed, and you are to bow to the sound choice that I've made.
I not marry a monster even in jest.
Doctor, your maid is a thorough pest. She's made me sinfully annoyed and nettled. I can't speak any further. My nerves are too unsettled. She's so upset me by her insolent talk that I'll calm myself by going for a walk. Curiating son! Curiating son!
Well, have you lost your tongue, girl? Must I play your part and say the lines you ought to say? Faced with a fate so hideous and absurd, can you not utter one dissenting word?
What good would it do? Father's power is great.
Resist him now or it will be too late. Tell him that one cannot love at father's whim, that you'll love for yourself, not him. That since it's you who are to be the bride, it's you, not he, who should be satisfied. And tell him, if his Tartuffe's so sublime, he's free to marry him at any time.
I vowed so long to father's strict control. I couldn't oppose him now to save my soul.
Come, Marianne. Do listen to reason, won't you? Valere asked for your hand. Do you love him or don't you?
How unjust of you! What can you mean by asking such a question, dear Doreen? You know the depths of my affection for him. I've told you 100 times how I adore him.
No, I don't believe everything I hear. Who knows if your professions were sincere?
They were sincere, Doreen, and you do me wrong to doubt it. Heaven knows I've been all too frank about it.
You love him then?
Oh, more than I can express.
And he, I take it, cares for you no less?
I think so.
And both of you, with equal fire, burn to be married.
That is our one desire.
What a Tartuffe then? What are your father's plans?
I'll kill myself if I am forced to wed that man.
I hadn't thought of that recourse. Oh, how splendid! Just die and all your troubles will be ended. A fine solution. Oh, it maddens me to hear you talk in that self-pitying key.
Doreen, how harsh you are! It's most unfair! You have no sympathy for my despair.
I've none at all for people who talk drivel when faced with difficulties, whine and snivel.
No doubt I'm timid, but it would be wrong.
True love requires a heart that's firm and strong.
I'm strong in my affection for Valere, but coping with my father is his affair.
But if your father's brain has grown so cracked over his dear Tartuffe that he can retract his blessing, and though your wedding day is named, it's surely not Valere who's to be blamed.
If I defied my father, as you suggest, would it not seem unmaidenly at best? Shall I defend my love at the expense of brazenness and disobedience? Shall I parade my heart's desires and flaunt my
No, I ask nothing of you. Clearly you want to be Madame Tartuffe, and I feel bound not to oppose a wish so very sound. What right have I to criticize the match? Indeed, my dear, he's a brilliant catch. Monsieur Tartuffe. Now there's a man of weight. Yes, indeed, Monsieur Tartuffe, I am bound to state, is quite a person that's not to be denied. 'Twill be no little thing to be his bride. The world already rings with his renown. He's a great noble in his native town. His ears are red, his face pink with complexion. All in all, he'll suit you to perfection.
Dear God!
Oh, how triumphant you'll feel at having caught a husband so ideal.
Oh, do stop torturing me. Use your cleverness to get me out of this appalling mess. Advise me, and I'll do whatever you say.
Oh, no. A dutiful daughter must obey her father, even if he weds her to an ape. You've a bright future, why struggle to escape? Tartuffe will bring you back to where he lives, to a town aswarm with relatives, uncles and cousins who you'll be charmed to meet. You'll be received at once by the elite, calling upon the bailiff's wife, no less, or perhaps upon the mayoress.
Oh.
Who'll sit you down in the best kitchen chair, and you'll dance at the village fair to the drone of bagpipes. 2 of them, in fact. You'll see a puppet show or an animal act. So your husband.
Turn my blood to ice. Stop torturing me. Give me your advice.
Your servant, madam.
Doreen, I'm begging you.
No, you deserve it. This marriage must go through.
Doreen.
No.
Not Tartuffe. You know I think him.
Tartuffe's your cup of tea, and you shall drink him.
I always told you everything. I relied.
No, you deserve to be Tartuffe-fied.
Well, since you mock me and refuse to care, I'll henceforth seek my solace in despair. Despair shall be my counselor and friend, and help me bring my sorrows to an end.
There now, come back. My anger has subsided. You do deserve some pity, I've decided.
Oh, Doreen. If father makes me undergo this dreadful martyrdom, I'll die, I know.
Don't fret. It won't be too difficult to discover some plan of action. But here's Valere, your lover.
Madam, I've just received some wondrous news regarding which I'd like to hear your views.
What news?
You're marrying Tartuffe?
I find that father does have such a match in mind.
Your father, madam?
As Justice Benedict said, that Tartuffe wishes me to wed.
Can he be serious?
Indeed he can. He's clearly has his heart set upon the plan.
And what position do you propose to take, madam?
Why, I don't know.
For heaven's sake, you don't know?
No.
Well,
Advise me? Do?
marry the man, that's my advice to you.
That's your advice?
Yes.
Truly.
Oh, absolutely. You couldn't have chosen more wisely, more astutely.
Thanks for this counsel. I'll follow it, of course.
Do. I'm sure 'twill cost you no remorse.
To give it didn't cause your heart to break.
Oh, I gave it, madam, only for your sake.
And it's for your sake I take it, sir.
Let's see which fool will prove the stubborner.
So, I am nothing to you, and it was flat deception when you...
Enough of that. You've told me plainly that I should agree to wed the man my father's chosen for me. And since you've deigned to counsel me so wisely, I promise, sir, to do as you advise me.
No, it was not by me that you were swayed, no. Your decision was already made. Though now, to save appearances, you protest that you're betraying me at my behest.
Just as you say.
Quite so. And I now see that you were never truly in love with me?
Alas, you're free to think so, if you choose.
Well, I choose to think so. And here's a bit of news. You spurned my hand, but I know where to turn for kinder treatment, as you shall quickly learn.
I'm sure you do. Your noble qualities inspire.
Oh, forget my qualities, please. They don't inspire you over much, I find. But there is another lady I have in mind, whose sweet and generous nature will not going to compensate me for the loss I've borne.
I'm no great loss, and I'm sure you'll transfer your heart quite painlessly from me to her.
I'll do my best to take it in my stride. Pain, by being cast aside, time and forgetfulness may put an end to. Or, if I can't forget, I shall pretend to. No self-respecting person is to go on loving once he's been rejected.
Now that's a fine, high-minded sentiment.
And to which any sane man would assent. Would you prefer if I pined away in hopeless passion till my dying day? Am I to yield you to a rival's arms and not console myself with other charms?
Go then, console yourself, don't hesitate. I wish you to, indeed, cannot wait.
You wish me to?
Yes!
That's the final straw, madam. Farewell. Your wish shall be my law.
Splendid!
This breach, remember, is of your making. It's you who've driven me to the step I'm taking.
Of course!
Remember, too, that I'm merely following your example.
I see that clearly.
I will go and do your bidding then.
Good.
You shall never see my face again.
Excellent!
Yes?
What?
What's that? What did you say?
You're dreaming.
Ah. Well. I'm on my way. Farewell, madam.
Farewell.
If you ask me, both of you are as mad can be. Oh, do stop this nonsense now. They'll only let you squabble to see where far it would get you. Oh, there, Monsieur Villain.
No.
Come here.
My heart's too full of spleen. Don't hold me back, your wish must be obeyed.
Oh, stop it!
It's too late now, my decision's made.
Oh, pooh.
He hates the sight of me, that's plain. I'll go and deliver him from pain.
And now you try to escape.
No, say will keep me here. Let's go.
She cannot bear my presence, I perceive. To spare her further torment, I shall leave.
Again, you'll not escape, sir. Don't you try it. Come here, you two. Stop fussing and be quiet.
What do you want of me?
What is the point of this?
We're going to have a little armistice. Now, weren't you silly to get so overheated?
Didn't you see how badly I was treated?
Aren't you a simpleton to have lost your head?
Didn't you hear the hateful things he said?
You're both great fools. Her sole desire, Valère, is to be yours in marriage. To that I'll swear. And he loves no one but you, Marianne, and wants no other wife. On that I'll stake my life.
Why advise me so? I cannot see.
On such a question, why ask advice of me?
Oh, you're both impossible. Give me your hand, you two. Yours first.
But why?
Now a hand from you.
What are you doing?
There now. A perfect fit. You'll suit each other better than you'll admit.
Come, don't be so haughty. Give a man a look of kindness, won't you, Marianne?
Oh, lovers, they're completely mad.
Now come. Confess that you were very bad to hurt my feelings as you did just now. I have a just complaint you must allow.
You must allow that you were most
Oh, let's table the discussion for the present. Your father has a plan that must be stopped.
Advise us then, what means must we adopt?
We'll use all manner of means and all at once. Your father's addled, he's acting like a dunce. Therefore, you better humor the old fossil. Pretend to yield him, be sweet and docile. And then, postpone as often as necessary the day on which you've agreed to marry. You'll thus gain time, and time will turn the trick. Sometimes, for instance, you'll be taken as sick, and that seems good reason for delay. Or some bad omen will make you change the day. You'll dream of muddy water, or pass a dead man's hearse, or break a looking glass. If all else fails, no one can marry you unless you take his ring and say, I do. But now let's separate. They should find us here a plan might be divined. Go and tell your friends what's occurred, and urge her father to keep his word. Meanwhile, we'll stir her brother into action, and get Almir to join the faction. Goodbye.
Though each and every one of us would do his best, it's your true heart on which my hopes shall rest.
No matter what father may decide, none but Valere shall have me as his bride.
Oh, how those words content me. Come, what will you say if I...
Oh, lovers, lovers, their tongues are never still. Be off now. Mary Ann.
One last word.
Oh, no time to chat. You leave by this door, and you leave by that.